Our next award is the Edward Weisband Distinguished Alumni Award for Public Service or Contribution to Public Affairs. The Edward Weisband Distinguished Alumna Award for Public Service or Contribution to Public Affairs recognizes one alumnus or alumna each year whose life, work, and career and contribution exemplify the highest standards of service and deepest dedication to the sustenance of the common good. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dean Ann McCall from Harper College of Arts and Science to present the award.
Good evening. What an evening. How inspirational. I don't know how it makes you feel, but it makes me feel that tomorrow morning I better get up earlier so I can start really doing something with my life. Okay, so what do we do in higher education? We transmit knowledge, we create knowledge. We transmit knowledge, we create knowledge. We have this endless cycle of transmitting and creating knowledge. Why do we do this? We do this so that people can realize themselves, so they can realize their ambitions, so they can be the people that they were always meant to be. And so that with this self-transformation, they can do something transformative in the world, right? So they can transform their little piece of real estate of the world for the time that we're here. That's what we do, that's why we do it. In Harper College, I love to say that we work on the big questions, right? We work on understanding the natural world. We strive to understand humans, human activities, human identities in time and in space. And we strive to understand human creativity, human expression, whether it's playing an instrument, giving a speech, how people perform things. And we do those three things, stringing them together with understanding human understanding itself. Why do I give you my little stump speech for liberal arts? It's because it is what our awardee does. He exemplifies who we are, what we do, and why we do it. So Keith LaScalea himself is an example. Yes. He exemplifies the highest standards of learning. First, in his undergraduate career with us. Secondly, when he went on to medical school and his residency, University of Chicago, Presbyterian Hospital, and then in his own career as a physician and as a teacher. He is an associate professor of clinical medicine on the faculty at Weill Cornell Medical College. Well, all of that would be a lot already. It would be a lot for most people, I can assure you. But it is only a small part of who he is and what he does. And so he has been very involved in nonprofits. And we always talk about, right, think globally, act locally, or is it the opposite? I'm not sure that Keith would know the difference because he does both. He is involved in projects locally in New York City, to help with information and medical assistance for impoverished people in New York City and around the world. He's been involved in nonprofit organizations in Zambia. He has also been involved in Tanzania and in Ghana. He's been on a board of, I'm sorry, I'm going to get this wrong, so I'm going to look down. He's the former medical director of the Heart to Heart Community Outreach Program, and he served on the board of an NGO in Zambia for 4 years. He does all of this, and he realizes himself in other ways at the same time. So if we think of that level of professional commitment, that level of social commitment, what would it be on a personal level? A marathon runner, okay? And so that's Keith LaScalea. It's my honor and privilege to introduce him to you this evening.
Thank you. So thank you for this great honor.
It's my first time. I got the credit. Thank you so much. No, you must give this while holding your
right. Thank you for this great honor. Thank you, Dean McCall, Ray Russolillo of the Alumni Association, President Stanger, and especially to Michelle Jones and Lee Neslage from the pre-health professional advisors who've been sort of my lifeline to Binghamton and who've kept me involved with the pre-medical students here all these years. It's been a great honor. I must really certainly thank Binghamton University. When I think of BU, the one word that comes to mind is opportunity. And I think we've heard a lot about that already tonight, this concept of opportunity. I want to speak about that a little bit as it applies to myself and to the friends who have come through Binghamton with me. So when I came to campus 24 years ago now, it seems a little crazy, but 24 years ago for the first time, I was a small town kid from eastern Long Island. I had hardly ever left my neck of the woods. We didn't have a lot of money. We didn't really travel very much. So coming to Binghamton was like a big trip for me. But by the time I left to go to University of Chicago Medical School, Binghamton had presented me with so many opportunities that I felt like a transformed person. So Binghamton prepared me to study hard, of course. It prepared me to ask great questions, that prepared me to seek out wonderful people. And I use those skills that I learned here every day in the real world of patient care now, as an internal medicine specialist, and as a teacher and a course director at the medical college, at a world-class medical college, in fact. So I have to say, I thank my teachers. They inspired me for my curiosity and for my opportunity to explore. My biology classes taught me, they tested me to dive deep into the underpinnings of life processes, while Psych 101 and the other psych classes that I took brought me back to the whole person and the interpersonal dynamics that fuel humanity. So these are the essence of the care and hopefully the cure that I strive for with my patients every day now. I have to give a real shout out to Residential Life. How many people here in Residential Life people? So I really have to say Residential Life for me was a big deal. I was an RA for a little over 3 years actually. And I was actually a resident director of Rayfuse Hall. I loved Binghamton so much when I graduated, I didn't want to leave. I stayed on for an extra year and I was a resident director. So this was the old Rayfuse Hall though, not this beautiful new. So it's a little confusing. I was old Rayfuse Hall.
The real Rayfuse Hall.
The real Rayfuse Hall. But I wanted to say thank you to Residential Life for taking me into their ranks early in my college years. I was actually an RA in my freshman year, believe it or not. The very end of my freshman year, it's a funny story. I got accepted to be a sophomore RA, and one of the RAs in my building, I guess apparently was having difficulty and dropped out. And so they came to me my last month of the first year and said, would you mind taking over as the RA? Which was a very strange thing. But I don't count that as my real first year. I will say that being an RA probably helped me mature more than any other experience I had in college. So as I started in my sophomore year, that was my real year as an RA, I was assigned a floor full of freshmen. So I have to say in retrospect, I think allowing a 19-year-old to watch out for the well-being of 30 18-year-olds seems a little bit absurd, especially this 19-year-old kid. But so it went. I was entrusted with dealing with problems that were as wide-ranging as lockouts, easy stuff, just get the key, let them in, to roommate fights, eating disorders, and young students who were dealing with the trials and travails of alcohol experimentation. Yes, people did drink on occasion and got into trouble. That was the really hard stuff I found as an RA. But the opportunity here and the honor to be a resident assistant taught me leadership, it taught me authority, and it taught me to have grace under pressure. And believe me, there were a lot of really tough situations. I want to say thank you to High Hopes, which was the counseling and crisis hotline. I was involved with that for many years. It trained me to be a better listener, to be a counselor, and to be a coach to the many people who called in with their problems. The opportunity to learn how to truly lend an ear to humans in need developed my emotional intelligence and galvanized my desire to serve. And again, I still use those skills that I learned and I was trained in to this day. That Rogerian counseling that we learned is still incredibly helpful in the day-to-day work I do with patients. I want to thank the Lifeline players for making me more creative. So the opportunity to act in front of students about serious social issues in student life gave me confidence and flexibility to stand up in front of a large group of people, relative strangers, get important points across. Hopefully I'm doing okay today. I use this every week in leading large group learning sessions with my students at the medical college. I have to say, I want to thank Students Against Multiple Sclerosis, which was a group I was involved with. I hope it still exists on campus. I didn't see anything about that, but it was an advocacy group for people with multiple sclerosis. It taught me about advocacy, taught me about fundraising, and the skills I gained in leading this organization stayed with me as I became involved in some of the international medical aid organizations I've been involved with. And again, Binghamton University served me well. It gave me the opportunity to bring these skills to the work I've done in Tanzania, Ghana, Zambia. I learned those skills here. Of course, I have to, any speech I talk about about Binghamton would be really short if I didn't talk about the many friends that I made here. And I think that's really been a central theme of everybody who's spoken so far tonight. The friends that I met in Binghamton gave me the opportunity to find fun, happiness, frolicking, and love, really. I remember I have a lot of fond memories, and I just thought I'd throw a few of these out here. So trips to Wegmans, for those of us who were here in the 90s. Planning out secret Santa events, really, I remember those very fondly. Late nights studying in the Hymn Library. One of my best friends and I, we found God in the Hymn Library. I think we were just hallucinating from lack of sleep as we were studying for finals, but it was an interesting conversation. Using cafeteria trays to sled down the snowy slopes. I think people remember that. Co-rec football. I actually called up some of my best friends today who are also Binghamton alumni grads. I said, what am I not supposed to forget? And they said, what about those late night drives to Friendsville, PA? They were great. And I will say, actually, one time I actually almost ran into a horse in the road as we were driving in the middle of the night there. But lots of fun. Nature preserve hikes, the wealth of a cappella singing performances. They seem to go on and on. There's never enough of them, right? Like any Friday or Saturday night, there was always something to do. There was always some kind of theater to go to or some kind of music competition. The other big one that I was told not to forget is learning to try to bake a turkey in a small dorm apartment. That was challenging. But again, memories with my friends that were here, who are also, I should say, now leaders in each of their respective fields across the country. It's not that I stand here alone or some of the other people who spoke here alone. We have many people like us who are leaders who've learned these same skills and had the opportunity to really be here. And I have to say, finding friends that last a lifetime is probably the best opportunity of anything that I got from here. I've often heard Binghamton University described as a college that can serve as a springboard to success, but I really think that underestimates things. I would say that Binghamton let me be a more mature, more empathic, more creative, and fun leader when I left here 19 years ago. Still sort of crazy to say those numbers, but in any case, I think any student who truly harnesses the many opportunities here will be strapping on a jetpack that can thrust their careers to stratospheric heights. It's not just a springboard, it's like really like a rocket launch. And the knowledge and the skills and the attitudes they gain here will grow their lives the way it did for me and so many of my Binghamton University friends. I will really forever be grateful to the opportunities that I was given here, and I'm so honored to be up here tonight, so thank you.